to the guitar collection. Well, today I have a super exciting guitar to share with you. This one was built by the famous American luthier Robert Ruck. This one is from the year 1982, exactly 10 years after the famous number 58 guitar was built for Manuel Barrueco by Robert Ruck, which of course Barrueco went on to tour the world with and make many famous recordings, propelling Robert Ruck into stardom, really. Now I have to say, I've had the opportunity to play many different Robert Ruck guitars, and he used many different bracing patterns over at the time and many different pieces of wood, obviously. So many of them come with different stories. And there are some that I really gravitated towards and some that just were not for me. And I've had the opportunity to buy some of these and I've just never taken anyone up on it until I played this one, which I have to tell you is spectacular. It's one of the best, if not the best that I've played. And I know some people hate it when I say that. I don't care. I'm telling you the truth. This is an amazing guitar. Now I have to say, with that, I have a caveat. It's not for everyone, and I'm going to tell you why that is. But first, I'm going to tell you about the specs of this guitar and a little bit about the history. So stay tuned for the rest of the video. This guitar has a cedar top and is completely traditional fan-braced guitar. Well, I have to get to that. It has 7 fan bracings, but they're not in the normal fanning pattern that the name fan bracing comes from. They are running straight along with the grain of the cedar. So you have 7 fan braces like this. Now, if you've been watching some of my recent videos, you'll know I've been doing a new segment where I put a light inside of the guitar and you can see the bracing. But since this is a solid cedar top, you will not be able to see through the top on this one. So no fun for you, no fun for me. You'll just have to take my word on it. It's very flawless. There are no cracks, no repaired cracks. I've looked inside with a mirror. It is number 264 from the year 1982. And of course, you'll see the label bears Robert Ruck's signature and famous label. You'll see the rosette here has this yellowish red and then these black borders with the mosaic pattern. Really a striking, beautiful rosette that you can notice from far away. Now, when I turn the guitar around, you've got a beautiful set of Brazilian rosewood that hopefully you'll be able to see some nice photos on the screen here as I'm talking about it, because on camera, it just doesn't pick it up that well. It's very dark. There are no cracks in this and no repairs in this Brazilian rosewood, which a guitar this age oftentimes has some cracks, which are not a big deal, but it's pretty cool that this doesn't have any. Now, I'm going to talk about the neck here, which is both really great and also has some drawbacks for those of you with small hands. This neck is 54 millimeters in width. That is a very wide nut width here, okay? So if you have very small hands and you send me an email and you say, Evan, you know what? I really love the sound of that Ruck, but I have really small hands. Do you think I can make it work for me? Well, if I was trying to be a salesman, I would tell you, absolutely, just take it. But this is not for people with small hands. 2 millimeters bigger than the standard nut width. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but you will feel it. However, there are several things that I've had done to this guitar to mitigate some of the problems with it. And one of those I alluded to at the beginning of the video. When I first played this guitar, it sounded great, but certain notes were completely dead because the frets were completely worn down in certain positions on certain strings. For instance, this F sharp just completely died away. It sounded like I was doing this. Almost literally like that, because the frets were super flat and worn down, because this guitar was played by the same owner for about 40 years before it was sold. So they put a ton of play into this guitar. Now, what I had done to this guitar was actually what's called a PLEKing, which is a machine that very few people have that analyzes the fretboard of the guitar, the fret work, and basically tells you what type of work it needs to have done to it, and actually does some of that work in this CNC machine. I brought it to a guy here in Austin named Danny Shoemaker, who did fantastic work on this instrument. I have to say, I really trust him with these guitars, because this guitar came back playing and sounding way better than even that first moment that I played it. So this has new frets, and they are tall frets to my preference. So sorry if you dig low frets. These are nice and tall, which I really like. And I also asked him to make a nut with a less wide string spacing. Now, I don't want this video to get too long and too nerdy, so I want to show you the sound of this guitar some more. But if you have a very wide nut width, a neck with a really wide nut width, if you get a little bit less wide string spacing, this problem greatly disappears. I mean, it comes close to disappearing. So I had a 43 millimeter string spacing made with a new nut, which, by the way, I have the original nut. So if you ever want it to be wider, you could also put that in here. But now that it's 43 millimeter string spacing, for me, it feels almost the same as a normal 52 millimeter nut width guitar. But anyhow, this guitar has had new frets installed, which doesn't hurt the value of the guitar at all. With those old frets, no one would want them. It's totally unplayable. Now these are brand new frets, perfectly leveled, and with a very low action that doesn't buzz. I mean, listen to me lay into this. I mean, believe me when I say I'm pushing hard here, and I'm using rest stroke with my thumb. It plays amazing, and it's so in tune everywhere you play on the neck. So the neck, yes, while it's wide, end of story there. The back of the neck is not too thick, honestly, and it's C-shaped the way I like. So the width is the only real thing to note about this. Oh, and that it's 655 scale length. So some Rucks you'll come across are 660, 665. This one is 655, so only 5 millimeters bigger than the standard scale length. But if you have large to fairly large hands, you'll have no problem with it. Moving up onto the headstock, you will see Ruck's famous headstock design here, which so many luthiers over time have paid tribute to. It has a beautiful shape. I'm a big fan of it, honestly. Looking at the tuners, we have Rodgers tuners here, these little individual ones, which is quite interesting. But very, very smooth, nice high-end Rodgers tuners. Now, a little bit about the sound of this guitar before I play some more musical examples. I think it just has such an open characteristic. I mean, it is just one of the most open traditional sounding guitars I've ever played, and it's extremely loud for a traditional guitar. Listen to this. It's able to achieve this thing that so few guitars are able to do, which is have this really beautiful, deep, dark, mysterious sound. That's balanced out by a beautiful, beautiful, bright sound. I mean, look, I'm over the sound hole, right? But look how dramatically I can change it. It's so responsive, and there's just so many special sounds you can get out of this guitar. And that's such a hard thing to quantify, but listen to some of the strings on this thing. I'll start with the A string, okay? So just playing a little bit on each of these strings, I think will illuminate what's beautiful about this guitar. But I have to remind you, please subscribe to the channel. It's a really growing community here. I like getting to know some of the regulars here that are commenting. It's really fun to hear what you guys think from the other end. If I'm being too excited about the guitars or you think I'm lying, let me know. I would love to hear from you. This is really fun. I'm passionate about doing this. So if you do have a question about a guitar or this one, which is currently available at the time of speaking this in the video, write an email to me, evan@guitarcollection.com. Check out the website, guitarcollection.com. I'm happy to talk about guitars. I've got so many great ones coming in, and this is really exciting to finally present to you a guitar by the great American luthier, Robert Ruck. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and without further ado, here are some more musical examples for you on this guitar.